Love is not like. It has been said, there is only one kind of love, but there are 1,000 copies. It might be amended to read that there's but one real love, and as many copies as there are human beings in this world. The Bible simply declares God is love. Hence, there are as many concepts of love among men as there are concepts of God. There are 4 words in the Greek language for love. One of them has reference to the natural affection that's common to all life. Now, it's almost like gravitation or some other blind force of nature, and you may observe it in animals as well as in humans. Another word, Iran, means only passion in its lowest form, seeking nothing but gratification. It's not even found in the New Testament. And among the pagan Greek writers, it was synonymous with sex love. The 2 remaining words for love are found to predominate the New Testament philosophy of love. One of them is the word phileo, in its various forms, and it appears around 45 times in all. Now let me define this word, for in spite of the varied manifestations of love among mortals, all of them are based on this one concept. Phileo is the kind of love common to friends. It means to be fond of, or to have a strong affection or personal attachment for another. It is an unimpassioned love that responds only to the pleasure it takes in a person or object. It's based on an inner community between the person loving and the person loved. Both, you see, have something in common. The one loving finds reflected in the person he loves his own nature. This love is one of liking, an affection that's the outgoing delight to that which affords him pleasure. It's a non-ethical, mutual attraction that carries no obligation and makes no ethical demands on the person loving as long as the person loved affords him pleasure. It demands no sacrifice from the one loving for the benefit of the one he loves. It's a reciprocal love, proper and legitimate. No standards of right or wrong are set by it as long as mutual pleasure exists. Hence it is a love that loves those who are like themselves, and is, in the final analysis, I believe, a love of self. In the New Testament it appears as the kind of love the world has for its own. For instance, the normal affection of a young woman for her husband and children, the normal affection of a child for his mother and father, the affection of a parent for his son or daughter. Judas expressed it for Jesus, but so did Peter. It's the common word to express the sentiments that exist between friends, and for our purpose here, I'm going to simply define it as a performance love. I call it performance love because it must ever be stimulated or die. It must ever seek to earn and merit the love it gets in return. The enjoyment and return of it depends wholly on the excellency of our ability to perform to the satisfaction of the one who loves us. I'm sure we've all experienced the heartbreak of this kind of love. We thought we'd found true love at last, only to learn that when the moon went down, the music stopped and the flowers withered, poetry lost its magic, and our eloquent words of love ran out. The love we were sure would outlast time dissipated like the morning fog in the searing heat of the sun. Phileo is the only kind of love any of us have ever known outside the love of God in Jesus Christ. It's the kind of love you first learned at your mother's knee. Now, we were taught by precept and practice that if we were good boys and girls, our parents and family would love us. We went to school to learn that the teacher loved good students, and that somehow those who could not perform to her satisfaction were also shut out of the circle of her love. In Sunday school, we learned that God loves good boys and girls. And our first concept of God was that love he offered was regulated by our performance. We established the idea that, quote, he will love me as long as I love and serve him. When I fail, he will fail me. When I let down in my devotion and duty to him, he will let me down, unquote. We often thought of the love of God as a stern love that rewards good and punishes evil or bad performance. We met this same kind of love when we learned that the employee who performed well came under the special love of his employer. Many have learned that this also is the true nature of most marital love. We have a phrase, the honeymoon is over, meaning the era of time when failures, faults, and inconsistencies in each other will no longer be overlooked or tolerated. From now on, each must perform to the satisfaction of the other in order to continue in the warmness of married love. And no matter how much you may dislike this concept of love, you must admit that too often you've seen the tide of married love rise and fall in the exact proportions of your successful performance of your appointed or expected duties. Well, we're face to face with Adam's problem in the Garden of Eden. He must, in order to earn Eve's acceptance, show only that part of himself that's pleasing to her. The fig leaves must forever obscure the real Adam, for to show himself as he really was would mean certain rejection. His sense of inadequacy and heavy sense of guilt assured him that no other person could love him for what he was. His views were identical in regards to God. He must forever hide behind the trees and keep up with his daily performance in order to earn the right of God's love. Now, I've often seen this same kind of love offered in the professing Christian world and pretended to be the Christian love of the New Testament. For instance, the Baptists love the Baptists as long as they're Baptists. The Methodist, Catholic, Presbyterian, and all other sectarian love is of the same seamy material. A performance love that has nothing to do with God, but is in reality a selfish love of our own pleasure. I do believe that you could remove Jesus Christ from the midst of most so-called Christian fellowship, and their, quote, love, unquote, would continue without interruption, for in reality, they only love those they like. The road of life is strewn with heartbreak and disappointment as a result of mistaking like for love. Many a person has labored for years faithfully performing his duties and obligations in the eyes of those he loves to arrive at a time in life when he's no longer able to perform. And it's here he learns with crushed heart that those who once said they loved him now find no pleasure in him, and try as they will, they can no longer conjure up the warm affections he had so long enjoyed. Real love is what every man needs and yearns for. It's what our love songs are about, and what we have often believed ourselves to have attained, only to see it disintegrate under the friction of life.